Back in the days of the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, anyone who slipped and didn't abide by the commands of God would receive immediate punishment for their actions. But today it's not like that. Punishment takes way longer to come. God extends way more mercy to us. This is not just because Jesus came and grace is now being extended. The people of old had a very clear way of hearing from God. The prophet was God's oracle. They were very close to God, so their communication with God was clear. The minute God said it, they knew what it meant. Their conversations with God were like, I would talk to you. There was no obscurity. They didn't need interpretation so much because of how high they were in God. So anything that they instructed the people to do was clear. And once they did not obey, the punishment was immediate. Today, we don't have people who are so close to God. Sin has increased in the earth significantly, not so much the earth itself, but within man. The body is more and more being defiled. So the purity that existed in men of old is not as it is today. We barely have control over our very thoughts. The more sin that is in man, the less room there is for the Spirit of God. The lesser of God man will be able to host. To be very clear, we still have good men and women of God. And yes, they do hear God, but they have not ascended to the heights of Moses. And so the type of communication that they have with God is not as clear as it would have been for Moses. For some, it's not because they don't want to ascend to those realms like Moses, they just can't. The body is too defiled. So what many could achieve in God in 40-day and 40-night fasts is going to take years for us. We can't do anything about it. That's just how it is. Many times they hear God, but interpretation is lacking, and no one can give directions or instructions to people when they're not clear on what God is saying. So men and women of God speak today based mostly on what they feel in their spirits, and nothing is wrong with that. But in terms of giving step-by-step instructions like Moses and Abraham and David and Elijah and Elisha did, they're not able to guide and instruct God's people effectively. Just imagine all that details in terms of measurements that Noah got for the ark and Moses as well. Look at how Solomon got to build that temple for the Lord. It was detailed. So because of these things, God extends his mercy to us. He delays the punishment because sometimes he speaks even to us ourselves and he warns us and we do not understand what he's saying. What kind of God would he be to execute judgment on you when you didn't understand the warning that he gave? You didn't know what he was talking about. So we don't have oracles of God like there were. And we ourselves are not so close to him to understand everything that he's saying. So he says, I will be merciful. I won't cut this one off. This one doesn't know the detriment of lying. So I won't cause him to fall down and die like Ananias and Sapphira did. This one thinks that I am okay with lying. This one thinks that a lie is not a big deal. So I extend mercy and I delay the punishment. This is why I do it. The fear of man for me is rare. They think that I'm cool with everything. Sin is now welcomed even in my church when it shouldn't be. It is not my will for any to perish, so I will give them more time to repent. I will give them more time before I execute my wrath. What a merciful God we serve. It would really be a magnificent thing if the fear of God could come back on the earth. And I know it will. But the question is, when? God is going to do it in his time. I'm Pastor Marion. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.